Hi, this is Victoria Vives Khuong with Air Sky People TV, and today we have here James Redfield, the author of the Celestine Prophecy. So I'm going to share a little bit about him. James Redfield is the New York Times best-selling author of the Celestine Prophecy. In 1995 and 1996, the Celestine Prophecy was the number one American book in the world and the number one international bestseller of 1996. This phenomenal novel spent over 3 years in the New York Times bestseller list. James Redfield co-wrote and co-produced the film version of the Celestine Prophecy movie. And now it is my honor to introduce James Redfield. Hi, James.
Thank you, Victoria. Nice to be with you.
I'm so excited, so excited. As I have been sharing with you a little bit behind the scenes, this book, The Celestine Prophecy, was one of those things that really transformed my life. So when I had my awakening in 1998, my friends and I were reading your book. In Spain, it's called Las 9 Revelaciones, the 9 Revelations. And we were reading your book. We were so excited. Oh my goodness, now the 10th revelation is there. And it was part of my awakening. So now having you here is so special. How many lives you have touched? This is incredible. So tell us more how this came to be, how you had this revelation to write the book.
Well, thank you for that. The real truth is that none except to see around. I have to acknowledge that we got it started, but what happened was that people read the Celestine Prophecy and they felt something truth of it in terms of their own experience. They wanted to pass it along, and that worldwide. And it means that we were aware of these steps into consciousness, and it was happening in the world.
It's cutting off a little bit. Cutting off a little bit. If you can just repeat the last part, that would be wonderful.
Well, it was the pass along activity of the readers is what made it go around the world to be the most popular book in the world for 2 years. And it still has been circulating until now, which I think is a new time in the world that we can talk about.
Yes, so you went from creating the book into actually co-writing and co-producing the film. How was that for you? Because this is a huge step from this amazing novel that has inspiration, it has romance, it has self-discovery, and put all that story into just 90 minutes of film. How was that for you?
Well, it was very difficult, of course. In a film, all you can get is the sort of feeling of it and the consciousness of it. And we worked really directly with our composer, who did a great job bringing that feeling of consciousness and the exploration of consciousness into the movie. We couldn't cover all the insights, obviously, at the depth that you and I are going to talk about them now. But we can, in the tour, that we'll talk about. But it's amazing just how far it went, and it's always been out there brewing. And now, though, there's something I think is amazing happening. We have two generations, millennials and their children, older children, who are not just tuning into the Celestine Prophecy, but other books about consciousness, and it's creating a kind of energy of consciousness that. And remember, these two generations, millennials and their children, are already the majority population on the planet, and
wow.
they're starting to tune in and ask the deeper questions, and that's making it easier for everyone to tune in. When you tune in, you start thinking, what do I want to do with my life, and what's my soul's dream, and once you ask that question, you start to get the answers. And that's what's happening in the world, in spite of the fact that we have all this anger and chatter and nonsense going on at the political level. What's happening is, I think, is that really in part because we want to stand as an alternative to all that hate, that people are pulling together and taking seriously consciousness and all you get from that. So that's what we'll be talking about on the Celestine Prophecy tour, because and we're celebrating that new surge of consciousness that I believe, very much believe, is happening out there.
Beautiful, beautiful. So then now from this book, it went into the movie, and now it becomes an experience, a tour, the Celestine Prophecy Inspiration Tour. So now you really get into to go with groups and meet in person so that we can all get together and build that inspiration with one another. Tell us more about this. How is it going to go to work? Where are you going to be?
Well, we're going to be in cities all through 2019. Again, with this celebration of a new wave of tea and truth and inspiration that's happening out there. So we'll be beginning in California, in Tunis, and then we'll be a couple of stops in California, and then around the United States first, and then beyond. We'll head to other parts of the world. So it's just a lot of fun for me, because in a real sense, I've sort of been waiting around for this to happen, because with two new generations tuning in, meditating more, looking for their soul's dream and feeling it. Once you start to meditate and at the events that that will be conducting in these cities, we'll talk about what we know about how to break through the things that hold us back, so we move fully into this consciousness where our dream can happen for us in the world. These waves of synchronicity that can bring our dreams into reality. And that's not wishful thinking. That's a real metaphysical process that I believe is coming into the world now. So it's in a sense, it's another insight, but in a great sense, we're moving from insight to actual ability to be super creative in the world. And that's and also I like to talk about how 100 years of the human potential movement is now moving from theory into integrative life, a kind of integration in one's consciousness, and integrates in real life, in our actual life day to day. And we can thank millennials for that, because millennials are unifiers. So they want, we're all the same at the spiritual level. We want to know not just the theory, but how it feels and how to experience this surge in consciousness and use it to help move the world away from so much corruption and into a more peaceful, authentic state.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I want to make sure that we start a little bit that experience of connection. We have a few people here commenting and watching. So Vanya is asking whether there are tour dates for the UK. Hi, Vanya, Kyle, hi.
Not yet, but we're waiting for invitations from the UK. So there are a lot of promoters and people who know how to bring people together there. So we're staying tuned to the opportunities that might happen in the UK.
Wonderful. And also, Mary is already inviting you to be in Fresno. I will pass this information to you later. Thank you, Mary. This is wonderful, because all together we can bring this out into the world. And James has been all his life really working on this. I have been reading about your story, how you started since you were a child, really looking for answers. It's a little bit frustrating when we ask the organizations, religion, for answers that we can apply to the real world. And sometimes we feel a little frustrated because there is no truly how to understand how the universe works. How was that for you, James?
Well, I sort of grew up in a community that was very loving, very spiritual. So I was very lucky in that sense. And I saw people living at a level of spiritual consciousness, very love-based, very authentic, and knew a lot. But, you know, and I would question people. I mean, I want to know how they did it. You know, how do you live this way? Where do you get this peace, you know, that surpasses all understanding? I mean, how is that? Well, you know, they weren't really good at telling me exactly how they did it, because it was just kind of a love opening for them. But, and, you know, what I wanted to know was, you know, how do we break through the fears and the hurts and the anger, all that, and find this level of creativity, heightened creativity, so that our dreams come true. And so I was in pursuit of that. Once I got to university, I studied what really became the human potential movement that I've mentioned. And this was a movement of people who are on that same search. How do we break through to greater levels of consciousness in this life? And again, it's now, you know, after multi-generations have passed, 100 years have passed since the beginning of the human potential movement, I believe it's integrating in the world. And we know exactly the process that helps us do that, where the blows past the egos and the coping devices and the addictions and all the other stuff that keeps us going around in circles, to break into a life that is characterized by you know, high intuition about the moves we should make in life, you know, this flow of synchronicity, these meaningful so-called coincidence that happen spontaneously, to open up our path, to open up opportunities for us to actualize what we want to do. So there's a process for that, and we've, you know, there's a new edition of the Celestine Prophecy out that contains an afterword that I've written. It's a long afterword, and I've never updated the Celestine Prophecy until now. But because of these two generations that are moving in activity, also older generations, Xers and baby boomers, you know, they're reaching a place in life where they want to leave a legacy. And so they're asking again, okay, how can I help the world? You know, what do I really want to leave to the world in terms of my gifts and my understanding, and move into a positive expression of something that will help shift the world. And so there's multi-generations tuning in now. And again, I want to stress, that makes it easier for any one individual to pop into this consciousness and be able to create at a higher level that ongoing dream. And we're really, the real secret is to move to a place where the ego takes rest and we allow ourselves to be guided into our dream manifesting. And that's tuning into our intuitive intelligence, which is a result of meditation. And in the events, we'll talk about one particular meditation that I think works especially to create this peace that gives us the ability to listen to our intuitive guidance, that puts us in the right place for magical synchronicities to happen, opportunities. And that's the life that is our birthright, you know. And now with this level of consciousness and interest in consciousness, we can finally put it into real action in a very practical way.
Well, and I give credit for synchronicities. Not only I read your book in 1996 with 98 with my friends, but also in 2006, I was studying seeing who is now my husband. And the first movie that we went to watch was the Celestine Prophecy. And that was in 2006. And now this last weekend was our anniversary. Guess what we watched? We watched the Celestine Prophecy. And today we're here.
we're going to be the first stop in our tour really is Chicago at the Infinity Foundation. And anybody can go there and get tickets in Infinity Foundation in Chicago. And I'll be doing two unique things. First of all, on Friday night, we're going to watch the Celestine Prophecy and just have a kind of Q&A. And then the next morning on Saturday, the 16th of March, I'll be conducting a day-long, full-day workshop talking about these principles of breaking through to your best creativity.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's the first one, so you can find that tickets there from the Infinity Foundation or Celestine Vision, my site. It's all there for Chicago, and that will actually be the first stop that we'll make in March 15th and 16th.
Wonderful. So if you are in Chicago, you know what you have to do. Go check this out. It's going to be amazing.
And probably a lot of people listening will know somebody. They'll get an intuitive hit if somebody needs to know, or and that's the way it works always with our events. People come from everywhere following lots of synchronicity.
Beautiful. And we are assuming that everybody is familiar with synchronicities. At the same time, it would be nice to describe it a little bit. The first time that this word was used was in the 1920s by Carl Jung. However, I didn't know about this word, I think, until I read your book. And I started looking forward to these synchronicities and how they guide our path. So please explain to us, what is your perspective on synchronicities, what they are?
Well, Carl Jung is credited with naming the phenomenon, but it's always happened all through human history at every level. We've been able to tune in intuitions that take us places where a mysterious coincidence. Okay, so it seems like an ordinary chance event, but it's not. There's deeper meaning in it. In other words, and a lot of things flow from that. So synchronicity is the perception of a meaningful event that feels destined. It happens and you learn something new, and the feeling is, oh man, I was just thinking about it. I needed to know that. And that changes my life path. Okay, this breakthrough to high level creativity is learning how to observe these synchronicities, how to keep them going, how to make positive interpretations always, even if they're a hard event in your life. Okay, it's always a silver lining. So in the events, we'll really be talking about the exact way to keep these tiny miracles happening in our lives. So one of the things also that synchronicity does is that it's proof, without a doubt, once you experience them, and everybody can experience them unless their ego says, oh, you just made that up, that wasn't meaningful really, or scientists, materialistic scientists, which sort of run the world right now, they have all kinds of ways to explain these things away. But if these are real, and you can imagine me coming from where I came from to write the Celestine Prophecy, there was 1,000 synchronicities that I was led into during the whole process. So once you start to experience these, they're real, number one, and you absolutely know there's a spiritual dimension to life. A lot of people still believe that we sort of popped into existence with no purpose at all. Just a materialistic, ordinary, and that's fear causes that. So you don't want to you want to think that the life is fully explained and ordinary, and so if you want an ordinary life, that's exactly what you get, an ordinary life. But it's not. It's never fun. It's always people it also always brings all the emotional hurts and fears and anger outbursts that we use to cope. And And that's what slows everybody down, because we all experience these like meaningless moments or hurtful moments or in life. And the key is not to think you're not going to have those, but to be able to move back into this love connection that certain kinds of meditation bring to us. And that's the key to the breakthrough. So again, you know, if you're struggling with thinking there's anything spiritual about this world, you're missing the opportunity to have the best life possible, because we know how, you know, the sequence of steps in consciousness that bring us the best life possible. And the key is finding the silver lining in every so-called negative event. And
Yes.
again, that's what we're going to talk about, the process of breaking this kind of lives.
I can't help but laughing, because I have had so many of those moments that you're referring to, that something negative happens, but if we are willing to connect with the positive, we can find miracles. Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. So what would be the most amazing synchronicity that you have experienced? Do you have something really, really like the most amazing one?
Yeah. Realizing that, you know, for me, it's a moment when I realized what I wanted to do. In other words, I wanted, you know, I came from actually a family of writers, but kind of part-time writers and people, a family that loved writers. But, you know, the key to writing is figuring out what to write about. Right? You can't just write with nothing to say. You've got to find what your truth is in the world. And that's the key to discovering what your soul's mission is. It's just a truth you tell. And some people write books about it. Some people just practice this truth and give it to the people they cross paths with. But that's the inspired life. That's the building up of a constant state of inspirational energy. That's why we're calling this tour the Celestine Prophecy Inspiration Tour, because that's how you know you're connected with your true work. You know, how you're pursuing your true truth that you came here to the world to tell. That's the greatest level of inspired fun. See, so, you know, all the naysayers about that want everybody to live in this sort of mundane, dull world of theirs because they feel safe in numbers. But people are breaking out of this materialism, you know, out into realizing, yeah, we live in a spiritual world, and we know the keys to maximizing success in that spiritual world. And that's, you know, I've waited a long time until I could say that fully, and it had to do with two new generations beginning to come to the same conclusion, and them being the majority presence on the planet. So things are going to get better fast, as long as we stay on the light side. And one of the things I talk about is you have to follow your conscience. You know, you have to stay in a position where you have a truth, a loving truth that helps people move into this spirituality and this consciousness that we're talking about. And this is, you know, you can either be a giver in life, look for how you can help people that you cross paths with, or you can be a taker. How can I use this person to get ahead? How can I make money on this person through deception? How can I dominate them so they have to give their energy to me? All those things we fall into, and it moves us into what I call the dark side, because whenever we're taking and not giving, what happens is you move into a lower consciousness. So what's happening is that there are two streams in life right now. One is what I call the light side, the emotional base of that world is love and inspiration, right? And it really being high on how we're helping the world. The other side are the people that take, and so what they're doing is going down in consciousness. So we're meant. I mean, the dice are loaded in our favor because we're designed to pop into a higher consciousness. And the more of us that pop into this consciousness and live it, the easier it is for people in some cycle of taking and manipulation and deceit. Mm-hmm. It's easier for them to come over to the light side because it's obvious that people have more fun and feel more actualized and live at a higher level creatively in this way of living. So I believe the light and the dark are kind of both separating. So the dark is actually getting darker because they talk about the darkness as though it's the only way to live. And they're talking out loud about it. So, and I'm not even going to give any examples because people can see the darkness talking openly about how and trying to defend that. And it's just what's happening is the darkness is just sort of being revealed to everybody as a good reason to take the path of light and of helping and of living our dreams.
I'm so glad that you are doing this at this moment. I feel that it's a great idea to bring the boomers and the millennials together, and we join forces, and we're going to ride this wave of light and inspire so many people so that they can see that there is an easier way, right?
That's right. There's an easier way. Life does not have to be so hard.
Yes. I want to acknowledge a little bit the people that is commenting. Tammy Lee Gallagher Glover says, hi, remember me, James? Camille Charles, love your work. Cresta, Johnny, everybody really excited. So you guys can go check the website for the dates. Can you repeat the website for people to see the Celestine tour?
Yeah, it's the Celestine Prophecy Tour.com.
Wonderful. So,
or you can just Google my name, James Redfield, or the Celestine Prophecy. It'll all come up. But I want to emphasize Chicago because that's not on it's not an official tour date, but I'm declaring it a tour date, and you have to go to the Infinity Foundation or to my website celestinevision.com to get the links to those tickets. So I encourage everybody, take a road trip, come to one of these. We're one of the things we're going to do is that we are going to build the energy. I mean, we know how to build it together and get very, very sort of inspired. And when you're inspired, if you haven't found your mission or your truth that you want to tell, we're all popping into a higher consciousness, and that's when the intuition will come in to clarify, what you want to do, what your soul wants to do, and the first steps and how to get that done. And so it's fun to be in the physical event, but we'll also be doing at the end of the events, we'll be doing a joint meditation, which sends this inspired energy, love-based into the world. And essentially, it's contagious. So the more we can get it out there, the more people will pop into this kind of life, and the more we replace the corruption and the darkness that has been around for a long time out there.
We need that. We are almost like antennas, right? And we are bringing this frequency together. So the more, the merrier. So let's all make this happen. And I have a question here from Mary Combs about children, how to raise children so that they have this expansive consciousness.
Well, the parents have to be living it themselves. It's contagious. So you set a family level of inspiration, energy, and expectation. And you set, we have this, what I call intention power, but it's kind of a prayerful intention, but it's a huge power. If you have karma, a good karma, you will be given much more power, because you're going to use it to give, not to take. So again, if you are living it, children, it's not an accident. Your children were born to you. They want to see this. They want you to break through to your most creative, inspired self in front of them. And that's how they believe in it. Because kids, you can't fool kids. You can tell them anything you want, but they're going to model how you live. Your stress levels. They're going to model all that, and your optimism versus pessimism levels, and all that they soak in. So again, it's very important also to tell the truth about it. In other words, tell your children authentically what's going on with your emotional state, because they feel it anyway. And if you pretend it's not happening, they just know you're being deceptive. Mm. So honesty, integrity, all those things you have to model if you want the kids to pop into that and live in that space with you.
Beautiful. Well, and I want to invite everybody to not only attend the events, but also get the book, get the movie. It is actually online, so I got it online. And then the audiobook, I also got the audiobook. So make sure to really learn this information. It's so inspiring and it's so fun. The book is almost like Indiana Jones. It's like really exciting. I can tell that you have this background of your family being writers. And it's like everything came to you to be able to convey this message in such a brilliant way. How does this prophecy come? Is this something that you learned somewhere, or it just came through your life, insight by insight? How did it come all together?
Well, that's an important question, because at the beginning of every event, I talk about this, because mainly what I want to communicate is that I'm not making this up. This is not James Redfield's prescription for a happy life. Okay, this is what we're all doing. And at the time, I was a psychotherapist for a while. Then I was a spiritual counselor for a while, and I saw a lot of people breaking through spontaneously. And what that meant, it was kind of in the air. And so what the insights is, I wrote them down. I started off writing an academic book around psychology of spirituality or something like that. Bored me with years, right? Because it has to be a story, because then you see it in action in real life. So it modeled on experiences I had. So so all I did was, I thought, this needs to get out because everybody's already doing it. I was seeing it. So in a big way, I was just a journalist at the time. I mean, I was living this, but I was trying to describe what I saw many people doing. These insights 1 through 9 were already out into the world. People were putting them into practice. And so that story was my way of saying, here's what we're doing. And of course, that's why people read the book and went, yeah, that's what I feel. This is what I'm trying to do. So it's really important now for me to be able to update the Celestine Prophecy. And if you go to our site, celestinevision.com, you'll get the link to the newest book. Sometimes Amazon sends you one of the other editions, but you want the one that has the afterword that I've written about staying awake. Okay, that's where I get to the steps, these new abilities we have to stay awake, to live at this higher consciousness. Because one thing to read the book and go, wow, I'm so high, and look at these synchronicities, because something, you hit a roadblock. And if you don't know how to get past the roadblock you hit emotionally and to sustain this love connection, it's very difficult to stay on that path of inspiration. So that's why we're celebrating. I describe what I believe is happening as people put it into action in real life and hold on to that inspiration, because you do have to cultivate it. And that, again, I believe there's a particular meditation that really works well for that, because it kind of sets you free from your emotional ups and downs. And that's what we have to do to live this dream of ours. Whatever it is, whatever that truth is, you don't even have to make a living at it. You can make a living doing something else, but you're telling this truth to all the people that you cross your paths. And it doesn't have to be big. It's more important that it's not big, that it's grassroots, right in your, the things you tell your kids and grandkids and friends, and you get big, but you have that level of inspiration no matter where it goes. You don't have to be rich or famous, anything. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about inspired at the level you want to offer your truth. Will that level get big if you want it to? You write a book, you don't know what's going to. So if you're writing a book, you have a special invitation to come to one of our events, because we always get around that, because I always attract people who want to know, well, how'd you get your book off the ground? The precise way that I was kind of led into, but it's very common sense as well. So we talk about those principles as well.
Wonderful. And it's so interesting that you say this, because I'm actually writing my first book. And here we are talking. And this is something that I didn't say, actually. So my followers don't know yet, so this is news. But it's very interesting, because I can see how synchronicities can be a very easy way to make the book happen, instead to have to be this arduous process of how do I get this done, right?
Right. But it's all the same principle. You allow yourself to be guided into the success of your truth. And really that you evolve your truth, because as the truth evolves, becomes truer and truer. You're more confident about it. Synchronicities shape who you are in the world, and the impact you have on the others, people you meet in the world. And again, it's time to do that consciously, because in my view, we know exactly how to do it, the practices that can lead to that kind of self-fulfillment.
Beautiful. So now we start going to your tour, start getting together, start getting into this frequency of synchronicities, sharing this glow with others. And how do you envision, what is your vision, your intention, how the world is going to transform?
Well, people who have read the Celestine Prophecy know that it's a prophecy, right? It's a prophecy. It's how it's the world we can create, that we're designed to create. So as we live with these higher levels of inspiration energy, we move into a more ideal form of culture and society. All the synchronicities, if you look back in history, of course, this is the second insight, right? You look back in history, and what you see is all these heroes that accomplished against all odds to move us into a greater unity and to emancipate more and more groups, across cultures, ethnics, background, across, all the races, genders. Everybody gets to be free, right? But the world had to work on that. These heroes all along worked on accepting other people in cultures, not that you had to agree, but you agreed with this assumption of acceptance. Mm-hmm. So that's the grand mission of the whole human experiment, if you want to call it, the whole human story, from moving from wandering tribes to villages to moving through all these waves of empires, and that finally settled into nation states, and then mechanisms of trade that started to unify nation states. There was hundreds of thousands of people that helped that happen, motivated by this intuitive led inspiration. So we're going somewhere, right? The humanity is going somewhere. We're evolving toward greater and greater levels of unity and greater agreement on the spiritual nature of who we are, and on these goals. So it's themselves. So right now we're actively trying to solve rifts between religious entities in the world. We have to make peace. We're not even finished making peace between religions yet, but we then have to integrate. And my latest book, The 12th Insight, was all about that unification process that's taking place long term. But for us as individuals in our time on the planet, it's about telling the truth that you're most inspired to tell to others. But we always know it's about the greater truth of our spiritual nature and unification across all peoples. So we're all the same. There are no. We can say that we have our cultural background and be proud of that, but we're all about making sure that all cultural backgrounds are accepted. Not all behaviors. I didn't say that. Cultural backgrounds, people not make assumptions about, we're all souls, right, on the planet. And so once we understand that, then we know that we're stepping in the long journey of humanity, and that's what makes it so inspiring. It adds to inspiration. Okay, I'm on purpose with the whole history of humanity, and so this is all just a way to understand what we know and to live that out loud, which means we live an inspired life, and that the whole world, the whole physical nature of this universe is karmic. There's a karmic structure. So once we tune into that and know how to be on the giving side of this karmic structure, it's very simple. If you're a giver, you draw more givers into your world and your life goes better. If you're a taker, you draw more takers into the world and your life doesn't go anywhere or very slowly. That's very simple. And you can try. I even say to people, look, you want to try the dark side, go ahead and see what happens, because karma is immediate. And all this stuff about the good die young, that's not true. That's silly. The bad die young and grows in misery. So check it out, is what I say. We're at the point of decision making. You want to be on the light side, you want to be on the dark side. But the best thing is that we want to be on the fun side and the success side. And we know how to do that now. Humanity is understanding this integration process where we just can move into a place where we do it automatically, kind of, not automatically, but we know how to do it whenever it's called for. And it keeps us on the light side. And that's where we want to be, especially going forward.
So what is going to take for our systems, governments, organizations, institutions to come into the synchronicities and really understanding that we can do things from a different perspective? What do you feel is going to take?
Well, it takes more of these two powerful generations, millennials and their children. Yeah, think about millennials. As I calculate the millennial age group, the bulk of millennials are moving past, well past 30, and the leading edge is into 36, 7, and 8. Okay. Now, there's some, of course, the leading edge are even in the 40s, the way I count. But what happens at 38 is astrological. 38, Pluto in the sky comes around to where it was when you were born. Okay. So it's called the, it doesn't come all the way around. It comes within 90 degrees of where it was when you were born. So it's Pluto square Pluto. And what Pluto is the transformer. So at around 38, everybody, all the older generations, you ask them what happened when they were 38. And what happened is that they both got a hint of their inspired truth or work or how, business or this, invention, whatever it is. But they got a vision of it and they could not do it. In other words, life changes and it makes it a little harder in transition, but you realize that what you really want to do is break through to that life of what you came here to do, and your soul expects that. Now, some people fight it and just stay on the safe side and never take any risks, and but most people go for something. I'm going to go for, I got to do this in my life, right? That's your soul talking to you. Happens at 38, and it begins to happen at 38. And think about being 38. Everybody out there who's 30, this age, that you see 40 coming at you like a freight train, right? Oh God, I'm going to be 40 in just 2 years. I better get on the ball. If I want to do this dream that I've been sitting on, I better do it now. That's the feeling every generation has. And so it's built into kind of the spiritual cycles of experience of every generation. But that's why at this point with millennials is that they really want to, they think there's something wrong with the world, and this is what they tell me, right? What is it, some matrix or something? What's wrong with the world, and there's really nothing wrong. It's easier in a lot of ways to be creative. We just have to learn to break through and go deep into consciousness through meditation and heal our emotional wounds so that we can really step into synchronistic flow and follow intuition. So that's, as that happens, the darkness is going to be, we'll shine light on the darkness and it'll just fade. Now, will it go away completely? Probably not in any real sense. Maybe later on, where if there's a rapture event, and I say a rapture event because the ninth insight, of course, is realize that we're getting more and more vibrant, and the end point of that, if you look around to the religious texts, there's some rapture prediction, which we kind of pop into our totally light body. And this sounds very new age and somewhat complicated probably to a lot of people, but just know that the future is we'll be lighter, smarter, more intuitive. We'll be living as the souls or the spirits that we really are. We're not, bodies are they're just atoms, right? So we're already very light-like. It's just we're not vibrating at a high level, to be true spirits. But we'll get lighter and lighter on our feet as we go, and that'll feel entirely normal as we go. Again, remember that the light, the good, the light being victorious in this competition. It's just a matter of living in this consciousness, which is the most fun you can have in life anyway. So it'll happen down the road. Nobody knows when that's going to happen. It depends on the decisions of millennials and older children as they make choices.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what do you think it happened between the millennials generation that we have now and the back boomers generation? What happened right in there in the center? Why people was not interested in all of these things? It's like boomers were interested in exploring these aspects of spirituality, but then what happened after that?
Well, what happened was they didn't know. We haven't integrated all the information yet. Okay, so remember, I believe it's, we can easily see that each generation is either a unifier or they're made up of individual explorers. Okay? So the World War II generation were unifiers, and what you do when you're a unifier, what you do is you take all this abstract information that doesn't seem grounded, and you try to unify it in something that actually works in real life. So boomers were these theorists. So we all have theories about this and that, right? And that's good. That was what we were supposed to do, because we broke out of the unity, you could even call it conformity, of the World War II generation. So the boomers broke that out, but they could not completely put it into practice. In other words, the institutions, ways to make money, the economic world was such that they could think about their options, but they couldn't quite live it. All right, but it wasn't, it took another. I told you I was waiting on millennials. It takes another generation of unifiers, which I believe millennials are, from what they tell me. I'm not trying to tell millennials what they are, but from what they say, I believe they're unifiers, and they want, all the spirituality stuff is great. They know it's important, but it doesn't have to be so complicated, right? It's you got to break. The theory has to be put in your heart, so you just kind of live this from a heart-connected consciousness, and then all we do is remember, key things, which we'll talk about in the events. One is being able to realize that you're on the side of history when you live like this, that you can that there's a karmic, there's a way to live that's successful and fun, and there's a way to live that's not successful and fun. So you kind of see that, and you choose the light path, and then you realize that we have hurts that make us have coping devices, and everybody copes with their hurts and their fear and their anger by having some kind of coping device, and sometimes it can be a bad addiction. Sometimes, it could be anything that makes us feel better. So what we have to do is go to meditation solution to that. Okay, we're all going to have pain at times in life, but the key is moving from there to a deeper consciousness through meditation that allows us to replace these other lower emotions with a kind of love emotion. And people have trouble with love because it's been used so loosely, and I don't blame them. I'm talking about authentic love. Love is a state, not as having an object. It's not loving something, because really some things, children, puppies, all that bring out the feeling of love, right? But then they go away, and we're left with ourselves. So we're looking for a state, the emotion of love that's a constant state, or at least constant until you see you got knocked out of it. But we come back to love. It's always a process of coming back to love until you can stay there in your waking state. So we know we have to have that love emotional base. And then everything else flows from that, the synchronicity, the intuition, the sense of mission, the giving of energy to others, giving of information, and energy is important to do that consciously. And that heals a lot of what's going on in the world. And that's what we want to stand for and do, because that's really the only way to save the world. You can raise the biggest army in the world or whatever you want to do, but you're not going to save the world that way. You can manipulate and falsify the voting results or anything you want to do in the name of saving the world. It's not going to work, because it just breeds more darkness. What we have to do is just live this love energy, this love-based energy, this spiritual consciousness out loud, tell our truth, and that is the solution. So I think we know that now,
I'm just so grateful that you stepped into your soul's purpose and decided to leave your work, your job, in order to write all these books and sharing your message and seeing how you have transformed the lives for so many people. I can only imagine if each of us do the same and really step into our soul's purpose, the world has to improve for sure. So thank you so much. We're almost at the top of the hour. I want to make sure we acknowledge people that is saying things to you. So good to be alive. Let's connect our hearts, heart coherence. People is excited here. So I'm so excited that we are all together. Anything that you would like to do for us to tune into each other and just make a transformation, a ripple effect?
Absolutely. And I like to leave everybody with one last idea. If you come to one of the events, please tell me how they found out. If it was here, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun moment for me. And because, the people that will be coming to the events are the people that will be synchronistically led to find out about it and to come. And that's always a favorite part. And we'll be doing, they would having a lot of fun explaining and then experiencing the energy that we've been talking about.
Wonderful. So do you want to lead us in just connecting for a moment with our audience, just at an energetic or spiritual level?
Sure. I would like to ask everyone who's listening to just join in an affirmation. And that affirmation is that each of us will digest the information that was talked about on this program, and that you will just affirm in gratitude that those truths integrate into your life, and that you move into the creative direction that you want to go in. So
thank you. And so it is. Yes. Thank you so much, James. And check it out. Check the website so that you can go to this tour. It's a great opportunity. If you have to travel. I have a class on the day that he's here in Tustin. I think we're going to go. As you said, James, we're going to go see you. I'm going to tell my class if we can just all go see you. I feel it's so amazing to have this opportunity to join together. And yeah, check it out. Check the website. Can you say again the website, please?
The website is the Celestine Prophecy Tour.com.
Perfect.
And I'd also invite them to go to my website, which is the CelestineVision.com. You can go on my events page, and especially this first March, this 15th and 16th events in Chicago. If you know anybody in Chicago, let them know.
I'm going to see if I can put the title here. The Celestine Prophecy Tour.com.
Yes.
So I'm going to put this to see if people can see it, and then I will put the other one too. Okay, Let's see. Can you guys see it? I think you have it there. So in that way, you can write it down. And then the other one, I'm going to put it as well so that everybody can go visit it. Okay, the other one is Celestine Vision.
Yes, CelestineVision.com.
Wonderful. So I'm going to put that too. Make sure to check it out. Start getting your tickets to attend. This is going to be an amazing experience. All right, James, anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, just to to intuit this sort of love state, this emotional force, and it really a love state, an authentic love state is the greatest power you can really have, because you calm your mind and you calm your emotions. It gives us solidity and centeredness. So you move from maybe being just having a part in somebody else's movie to being the star of your life movie unfolding, and that's what it feels like. So just keep intending that, and it'll happen.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, James. It has been such an honor, and I really appreciate not only the transformation that you are creating in the world, but how humble and friendly and nice you are. It is such a joy to connect with you and have this moment together with all our audience. Thank you so much, James.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it.
Okay, and thank you everybody for watching, commenting, and now maybe we will find each other in one of James' events. All right, have an amazing, amazing day. Bye.